So welcome to Untangled, where we're untangling Christianity from theology, religion, and colonization. And in this lesson, we're dealing with Jesus and the ancestors. And I was talking to one of my friends, and he brought up a really good point. He said, you want to make sure that you're telling people that not only did Jesus speak to the ancestors, but actually that the ancestors came to speak to him. And for a lot of people, that's a distinction without a purpose, but it's actually a really big difference. Because what you learn there is you don't actually just speak to the ancestors, you align with them. And that's an ancient understanding that's been around for as long as the concept of following and connecting with ancestors has been around. In fact, the concept, the very understanding of ancestors as they've always been known, are that these are people who lived noble lives. They lived lives here on earth the way that God intended for them to live. And so now they progress to a higher level. For us, we think of that as heaven within Christianity. For ancient Egyptians, they thought of it as a journey, however you think about it. But the idea is that the cloud of witnesses, the saints, the people that have gone on before you, lived noble lives. And as a result of that, if you are going to be able to connect with them, if you are going to be able to hear from them, then you also have to be living a life that is in alignment with them. You can't just speak to them without actually having a life that's lived in alignment with them. And that's what we find in Matthew chapter 17 when we look at Jesus. At this point, Jesus has been tempted. He's fought the enemy. He's called disciples. He's taught us the Beatitudes. He's gone over and taught people. He's taught us about the law. He's healed people. He's cared for people. He loved for people. He did the best that he could to show the love of God, to show beauty and peace and nobility and all those things to the people around him. And as a result, he has now gone to a holy place where the ancestors, where those who have gone before him identified as holy. And when he got there, whether they came to him first or he sought them out, what was important was that the life that he had lived at that point was in alignment with theirs. He was living a life the way that God intended for him to live. And so if you're just trying to connect with the ancestors, hoping that you'll get this connection and wisdom and things like that, but you are not aligning your life in a way that would honor them, that would honor God, then the chances are you're not in alignment with them. And so you're probably not going to be able to hear from them. And so it's important for us to recognize not only did Jesus speak to the ancestors, but that the ancestors spoke to Jesus. And if we want to speak to the ancestors or have the ancestors speak to us, we have to live a life of goodness, live a life of nobility. And I can tell you, if you're really looking for a great way to do it, you can start with Matthew chapter 1 and study the way that Jesus lived from Matthew 1 through chapter 17, where the ancestors finally decided that they wanted to come down and tell Jesus, yo, you're really living in alignment. And Jesus was able to say, I know, because we're all here today talking about how we're honoring God the Father. So thanks for checking out this video. If you enjoyed this content or you found it helpful, would you share it with somebody else? If you like or subscribe, that's going to help us a lot. But we feel like if you share this video, it'll help somebody else. And that's what we're trying to do. Thanks for listening. And we'd love it if you check out some of the other great content we have at the Untangled series.